Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Robbie the Painter. I'm Robbie. You're back. You came back. Thank you so much. I appreciate each and every one of you. And before we get started, I want to send a quick shout out to Ivan and Christy and little Ivandale, part of my family, and they're big supporters, and I love my family. So what we got going here, we got our 16 by 20 inch canvas. It's already primed with the liquid white. I've got my paints up here. I'll run the colors over here. And I thought we'd do a little landscape scene with a winding river and some trees and that. I did a painting similar to what I'm gonna attempt today a few years ago. And I thought I'd do something similar to that. So we're gonna do maybe a little winding river and have some trees in it and everything. So first thing we're gonna do is grab our 2-inch brush. Gonna come up to, let's go into a little Prussian blue. Just a little bit of Prussian blue on the brush. Starting with a very little amount. We'll see if this is enough. I don't want the sky too dark. We're just gonna come across the top of the sky here. And dip into a little more. And because we have the liquid white on here, it will get lighter and lighter as we come down the canvas. Let's just run that back and forth. Let's see what we got. Maybe a little more Prussian blue. Okay. Very lightly across. Back and forth. Take out the brush strokes. So anytime that we're up here and we're doing little X strokes, or we're making circles and that to put the paint on, and that afterwards we want to go back and forth very lightly. It takes out those brush strokes. It smooths everything out. Okay, I think since we're going to have a winding river, let's put some water in this. So we're going to come down here from the outside edge in. Grab that. And let's see. And come over to the other side, and the outside in. The reason I start from the outside and come in, if you see there, this edge here kind of feathers out as it comes in. If we started in the middle and came this way, you'd see that hard brush line, and that we could probably rub it out and get rid of that hard brush line, but it's just easier if the feathered edge goes towards the center here. So that's why we do that. Winter's almost over here in the mountains. I hope. We got some snow the other night, and got pretty cold. I use firewood to heat the house, and I've got a wood stove, and man, that thing is the best money I've ever spent, was a wood stove. The fireplace did not heat the house up. All the heat was going up the flue, and and that. But as soon as I put this freestanding wood stove in the house, oh my goodness. Yep, got a lot better. Okay, I think we're gonna have, I'm leaving the center kind of bright. It's gonna be maybe the sun shining or reflection of some sort. Okay. If you get little hairs from your brush or something gets on your canvas, don't use your fingers. I've tried that. It moves around, and then you've got marks all over your. Just take the side of your brush and lift up on it real quick, wipe it off on some paper towels, and then lightly go back over it. You're gonna get those. No matter how good your brush is, you'll get some brush hairs on here once in a while. Okay, we've got a sky, and we've got what's gonna be some water down here. Remember, we're using odorless paint thinner or odorless mineral spirits, which is what I have, and we wash our brushes in odorless. Don't get the regular stuff. The fumes will be bad. Even with the odorless stuff, you want ventilation, open your windows, open your doors, that kind of thing. So I'm gonna wash this 2-inch brush off and give it a little shake. Smack it around a couple times, dry it off on some paper towels. Okay, I'm gonna set that, I think, aside. We are going to come into, let's grab a 1-inch brush. Let's come into some Van Dyke Brown. My Van Dyke Brown is drying up. I don't know why. I've had it for a little while, maybe that's why. I need a new tube of Van Dyke Brown. We're gonna come into the Van Dyke Brown. If your paint is too thick, you can dip your brush into a little bit of thinner and then go back in. You just wanna be careful how much thinner that you put on your brush. I know we're gonna have some trees and some bushes and stuff like that. So what I'm thinking, I don't want a whole lot. Don't want this too dark. Okay, we're gonna start back here. And just put a row of what's gonna be bushes. Just tapping. It's getting lighter as the paint starts running out, and it's also mixing a little with that white. I like that. The lighter, that's what I'm looking for right now, is I want it to get a little bit lighter by the time I get over to this other side, because that's our row of bushes. We're gonna put a row of trees. Some of them are in the distance and some of them are gonna be in the foreground. And so we're gonna try to do that. So if that's our bushes, let's come up above that, and these will be our trees. And we're just gonna put a few in here and there. Maybe get a little more paint. Leave some areas where you can see the sky. And we're gonna leave a little bit of area between the bushes for right now, I think. We may fill that in, I'm not sure. When we stand back, always stand back. Yeah. I think we are gonna just tap a little color. I want some of the sky and that showing through, but not a whole lot. Okay, we're gonna stop there. Gonna grab a liner brush. Got 2 liner brushes. Let's try this one. A little bit longer liner brush. Dipped into some paint thinner. We're gonna come into that Van Dyke Brown. Let's come into that Van Dyke Brown. Thin that out if you need to get some more thinner. I want this almost like an ink. Definitely thin. And we're going to put some tree trunks in here that go up to our trees that we just put in. Just here and there. If we've got a clump of leaves up here, let's put a trunk underneath it. That's basic. That's as simple as it is. That's the way I'm looking at it. If you've got some leaves above here, we'll throw a trunk underneath it. Something to hold those leaves up. That's what we're doing. And just coming over here. Got some on this side. Just here and there. These are kind of in the background. Not going to get too detailed. Maybe this one doesn't have any leaves on it back here. Just some branches. Okay. I'll just put a few sticks and twigs and stuff back here. Little stuff that's sticking up, not quite trees, or maybe they're trunks without branches. This will kind of fill that space up a little bit. Okay, not bad, not bad. All right, I think we are going to grab that 1-inch brush again with the brown. Just come under here a little bit, tap that. Okay. We're gonna have that winding river, so we're gonna be putting that in, but we have to do the farthest stuff back first and work our way forward. And the river's gonna be in here somewhere. And so we're putting the trees on. Obviously we did the sky first. We're gonna put the background trees and the bushes and that before we start coming forward. So let's grab a clean 1-inch brush, and I have a couple 1-inch brushes going here. But if you don't, just clean off the one you were using with the brown. Actually, this one has. I must have been using this one yesterday. Yesterday I did a painting and I didn't film, and I just felt like painting without getting, the lighting set up and all that stuff. And sometimes it's good just to paint. Sometimes you just feel like painting. All right, we are going to, I think we're going to mix up a color here. So keep that 1-inch brush close and handy. Let's grab our palette knife. And I think the colors we're going to use here, I've got yellow ochre here. Let's grab a little titanium white, pull out some yellow ochre. Just lighten that yellow ochre up a bit. We're not going to, don't want it too light. Well, maybe I will lighten it up a little more. We'll do some of these trees are going to be distant in the background. Okay. Wipe off our palette knife, set that down, grab our clean 1-inch brush, and let's dip a little bit into the liquid white. And we're going to come in here and tap into that color. This is definitely going to lighten it up. Maybe even grab some more of that yellow ochre. So the liquid white thins your paint. It also lightens whatever color you're using. So we're using, yellow ochre. It's kind of a tan color. It'll lighten that up. If you dip into liquid white and go into the green, it'll lighten up your green. But it makes the paint thinner, and it's a thinner paint sticks to a thick paint. So this brown is kind of thick. We want a thinner paint. And let's come up here and see some of these distant trees look like if we just put a little color on them. Maybe this one. We'll just pick out a couple trees that have some color. And I'm just barely pushing. I'm not hitting the canvas with the brush. I'm just coming up here and kind of lifting up as I push. Let's pick a couple more out. This one. Maybe this one here. Something over here, down there. Okay, just putting a little color on here. Set that brush down. Let's grab our palette knife. Let's grab a little titanium white. Come over here, grab some sap green. Maybe a little cadmium yellow. A little more cadmium yellow. All right, kind of a medium green. We're going to lighten that up with a little liquid white. Hey, you know what? I'm going to grab that dirty, the one that had the brown on there. Dip into a little liquid white, and let's come into that green color. And I grabbed the dirty 1-inch brush that had the brown. So this is going to kind of change the tone of the green a little bit. Still going to be green. And I'm pulling this brush down in one direction, this 1-inch brush, pulling through the paint. And then I've got quite a bit of paint on the end. I'm flipping it over. It's got a little rounded edge. We're going to come up here and just here and there. Touch. Pick out some of these limbs and branches that we put on here. Not every one of them, but here and there. The trees that were in between these others. Let's put some color on those. And we can leave some of that brown showing through. We don't have to put green over the whole thing. I'm into some more. Okay. I like that. I like it. Maybe grab a little more of the sap green. Let's darken that color up. So just running my brush through the sap green, one direction. Turn that over. Maybe this one's a little darker. Just pressing, putting some leaves on some of these trees. You got a little darker color over there. I like that. All right. Okay, let's keep that dark in mind. Let's keep along that same idea. Then I go into a little Van Dyke brown, same dirty brush that I've got the green, bring some Van Dyke brown over, and let's see here. Let's add some color to some of these bushes. If your paint's not sticking, again, if you don't want to change the color of your paint, go into paint thinner. It doesn't change the color that you're using. If you want to thin your paint and you want to lighten the color of your paint, dark green, you go to a lighter green, go into the liquid white. And that's how you would do that. If your paint's not sticking, probably need to thin it a little bit. And the way you thin it is with thinner or liquid white. You could use linseed oil. That's another they call those mediums. You can use that. All right, let's stand back. I don't know that I want to put color on every one of these. Maybe just in a few spots. I'm just pressing. Okay, I think we're gonna stop there. I want to leave some of that brown showing there. Okay, I think we're gonna grab our palette knife, come into some Van Dyke brown, and we're gonna start figuring out where our shorelines are for this winding river. So if it's a winding river and it's coming in I'm going to say it's coming in from this right-hand side over here. We need to have some sort of shoreline under these bushes or some ground going on. So we're going to put in, just grabbing Van Dyke brown with my palette knife and just bring in some of that underneath these bushes. Putting some color on the canvas. Okay, grab a little more. I think my river's, so the river's coming in on this side and exiting out this side. And let's see. I think it's gonna come. Oh, yeah, my brown is a little thick. It's getting clumpy. It's so expensive, I don't want to throw it away, but I think it's time for a new tube of brown. All right, we're starting to get the shape of the far side of the river and the way the shoreline goes. Maybe it comes out like that. You could do this with a fan brush or a 1-inch brush or a 2-inch brush. Our next step is going to be to put some reflections in the water. Let's grab a clean, dry 2-inch brush. We're going to put the reflections of these trees and some of this brown. We're going to bring that into our river. So we're going to grab some of this brown and pull straight down into the river. Turn over to the clean side. Very lightly across. Just a whisper. And we'll clean up the shoreline after we're done with these reflections. Okay, let's grab I'm gonna grab a small fan brush. Use whatever you want. I'm gonna come into some of that yellow ochre. Got the indication of of some of these trees. So this one has yellow ochre. I'm coming straight down. And this fan brush has some brown, some yellow ochre on it. Just gonna put some of that color in there. There's another one. Let's come down here and put some yellow ochre into our water. Some of this might be covered up because we're going to put some shoreline on this side too. And there's some yellow ochre. There. There. And then there's one over here. Now, I'm not even going to wash this brush. Come into some of our green. We've got some green trees. And we're just going to put some green roughly in the same area. Tree up here, green reflection down in the water. Tree up here, green reflection down on the water. Grab some more green. That's just a dirty brush. That's the same one we used for the yellow ochre. Okay, just want a little bit of color just to reflect down in here. Set that down and grab a clean dry 2-inch brush. We're going to do the same thing we did a second ago when we put the brown from the bushes in that reflection. Now we're going to pull down, make sure is that clean? Okay, very lightly. Come straight down. You want to make sure you're coming straight down because you don't want these, I'm going to wipe that off for a second. You don't want these reflections to go sideways. Unless that's what your painting calls for. I don't know, ours doesn't. Not today. Okay, just a whisper. Come across the whole thing through the brown again too. Might have to just wipe that off. Get some of that color if you start picking up too much color. Or even if you're just worried that you are, it's okay. Wipe off your 2-inch brush. And come lightly across. And picking up some brown. Okay. All right. Let's grab our liner brush real quick. A little bit of paint thinner. Come into that Van Dyke brown. Just a little tiny bit of brown on here with some paint thinner on that liner brush we used before. And I'm just going to put the indication of some of these tree trunks in here. Just connecting some of these tree tops with some trunks. Not a bunch. And it doesn't have to be a mirror image. It doesn't have to be completely accurate of what we did. Just the indication in roughly the area that, there's a tree up here, I put some tree trunks. There's a tree over here, put some tree trunks. With our clean, dry 2-inch brush, let's come over here, just lightly pull down on those tree trunks that we just put in, very lightly. I hope I don't get rid of all of them. Give that a wipe. Come across. And they kind of disappear a little bit. That's okay. That's the illusion of the reflection. Let's grab the palette knife. Come back into some Van Dyke Brown. Let's clean up some of this shoreline. When we pulled that 2-inch brush to do our reflections, kind of got into our shoreline. And I want this shoreline to be a little more defined. So, just kind of redrawing with the palette knife. You figure out where your shoreline, if you like the way it is, then, you know, leave it alone. And you can go to the next step right after this. We're going to put some grassy stuff on here. So if you like the way your shore is, don't mess with it. I'm just making sure I'm shaping this river the way I want it. Okay. Just getting some brown on my palette knife, and very lightly. And you notice I'm pulling in one direction. You could pull down this direction if you wanted. I just am being consistent with the direction that I'm pulling this down. Okay. And so make sure I've got some dark show against the light. The light show against the dark. Dark and light, light against dark. That's where the magic is. Okay, let's wipe off our palette knife. I've got some paper towels down here on my easel. Now I think we're going to grab a large fan brush, dip into some paint thinner, grab some Van Dyke Brown, sap green, and thin this paint out. See if it'll stick a little bit better. I want to be able to touch the paint against that brown that we put on and not smear the brown, just have the new color go on over the top of it. There, that's a little bit better. And I'm starting with a dark green. Let's see how that looks. And then we'll lighten it up if we want. Or we'll put a couple different, greens on here. We'll lighten it up and change up the flavor of our green. Set that down, grab my palette knife, grab a little cad yellow, titanium white. I'm gonna mix up a lighter green. Yeah, I'm not mixing it up fully. I'm gonna leave it marbled. Leave it a little marbled. Okay, let's grab that. I'm not washing that fan brush. Just gonna go into some of this lighter green. Tap some of that into the bristles. And let's add some some of this color in. In between that dark, let's add some of this light. And might need to dip into a little tiny bit of thinner. Thin this color out too, just like we did the other green. Thin this light green out. Okay. It's hard to see that dark that I just put on there, that darker green, so I'm having to really pay attention. But I want to kind of go in between. Leave that dark green alone and just add some of this lighter. Come down the shoreline, maybe our grassy area comes right down by the water. Over here. Put some highlights onto this shoreline too. Might want to do that. Or not. Leave it dark. I think I'm going to leave this one a little dark. What I was talking about is right where the brown meets what's going to be our river. We could take the palette knife and put some highlights on that. I think I'm going to leave it dark. Just going to bring this grassy stuff down by the water. Have it kind of hanging down. Stand back. Okay. Just here and there, wherever you think you need some. If you keep tapping it, it'll make that color a little more subtle. You've got brown underneath it. You've got some darker green around it. You've got this lighter green that we're putting on. If you tap it a little more, it'll make that color just a little more subtle. And sometimes that looks good. Sometimes you don't want to see your brush strokes in everything. You just want the indication of that color that we're putting in. So you might want to come back, and if you tap it a little bit, it'll smooth that out. Stand back. You know what? That's pretty good. I think we're going to put a water line in that right now, and then we can start working on this side over here of our winding river. So let's pull out some titanium white. You can use liquid white or you can come in the titanium white. This has a little yellow in it. Somehow I got some yellow in my white. Let's see here. Just gonna come in here and put a little water line here and there on the edge of our river. Kind of clean up this shore. A little more. Pull it out flat. You know what? Let's clean that off. And get too many colors going on here into my white. All right. The white doesn't have to be, if you got a little bit of color from something else that you were over there mixing, it's okay. Sometimes water lines have some different colors in them, so it doesn't always have to be, white. And this is pulling some brown out. Mixing with that white, getting some water lines. All right, I like it. I like that. Not too bad. Let's wipe that off. Start working on the other side. Well, we're going to keep the palette knife in our hand because we put this side on with the palette knife. We're going to come into that Van Dyke brown. Let's go ahead and figure out where our other shore is. Maybe that's over here. I told you we'd be covering up some of these reflections, but you know what? You put them on because you never know. You have to do your background and work forward, and reflections were part of our working forward, even if we're going to cover up some of that. Unless you know ahead of time, and I don't always know ahead of time how my painting's going to change, so I have to just take precautions and put in reflections when they need to be in there. Just adding some color and kind of pulling in the direction that I want this side of the shoreline, the land to be. Okay. Oh, I know this edge is going to be all this edge over here is all going to be land. So just going to make sure I get my dark on here. Again, you could do this with a 2-inch brush and tap it on there. And I want this to be kind of thick. When this painting's dry, you'll be able to put your hands on it and you'll feel the texture of the grass areas. You can feel the trees and feel the leaves on there. They stick out, That's the cool thing about an oil painting is, you've got a painting that's a print. Run your hand over it. It's smooth, it's like paper. There's no a real painting that you've done, and you guys will see this when you paint along with me. You can go back and feel it when it's dry and feel all that texture, and that's the cool thing about oil painting. I think it's one of the cool things. That and the fact you're making an awesome painting, that's the other cool thing. Okay, before I get too far ahead, let's see where we're at. You can kind of see this river taking shape, huh? Right before your eyes. Hopefully we'll get this thing wrapped up here shortly. I think I am going to put some tall trees on this side. Might go back in the original painting that's hanging in my bathroom. I had some tall trees on this left-hand side. Again, I'm loosely following that painting I did a few years ago. Not going to be exact, but it's similar. I think we've got a good start here. Okay, let's put some color on the top of this. And maybe on this side we'll have some rocks. We didn't do any rocks on the other side. Well, it kind of looks like rocks in here, so I guess we do have some rocks. Well, apparently my camera just shut off. I don't know what you missed and what you didn't, but I'll recap from about, putting the green on and leaving the dark areas. Not putting our green everywhere, leaving some of these dark brown patches. It looks really good when you've got light against dark, dark against light. I just came down here and we just took some of this yellow ochre and that we were using earlier for our trees, the tree color, and very lightly took our palette knife and pulled across and created some rocks. And if you don't like this color, it's too light, too dark, you want a different color, you could use some blues. I don't know, rocks have all kinds of different, boulders have all kinds of different colors. You could do whatever you want as far as your color goes. You can throw some blue in there. You can grab a little bit of Prussian blue. And just add it here and there. Just change up the color. Not bad. You may not like that, and maybe I don't like it, but I'm just showing you how you can, if something, you're putting a color on there and you don't really like it, try some different things. You may find something that you like. That's all I'm saying. Okay, let's go back to that yellow ochre. Maybe I'll just mix this blue in so it's not so blue. And let's put another rock right here. I'm just going to put several rocks. It's a rocky area right in here. Stand back, because I'm telling you, when I'm up there doing this, I don't see the rocks. I really don't. I don't see that going on. When I stand back, that's when I go, okay, now I see. So, and while you're standing back, it also allows you to go, that, whatever you did that you like, you may not like it, but whatever you did that you just, you like that, you can see where the next one might be. So as I stand back, I like this whole area here, but I want to leave this dark and just come over here to the very edge and put one more in, leaving a little dark in between those. I like it. I like it. I like it. Maybe this one's just a little bit bigger. It's a bigger rock. Yeah. A little lighter color. Maybe it's a highlight on top. Highlight there. Sometimes you can just touch without dragging. Just touch a couple areas and you'll highlight your rock. Take this one right here. The sun's coming down this way. Well, let's highlight just the front. We're just going to touch. Maybe a little tiny pull. We just highlighted that side. You don't have to do that on every one. I'm just showing you how you can, make that happen. Maybe I'm seeing this one. And I think, here we go. All right. Anything else? Maybe a rock right in between here? Or is that just the, you know what? Let's go ahead. We'll put a rock in here. Okay. That's the darker yellow ochre, and then Some of this has the titanium white, and we'll just pull that down. There's a rock right there. It goes right down by the water's edge. Looks like I need some dark right in here, so I'm just gonna take some brown, pull that in. Just change up the color. Okay, now we can go back to the big fan brush that we had, come into that greenish color. Kind of an olive green because we added brown to it. So sap green, white, brown, Van Dyke brown, kind of an olive green. We can come back in here and might have to add some paint thinner or little tiny bit of liquid white into that color to thin it out, and it'll stick. All right. We want it. Any more greenery? I'm almost wanting to leave this alone in here, but if you wanted to, come in here and put some greenery in between your rocks. You know, a little bit of something growing in here. Maybe it's a little darker than that. Go back into the sap green, darken that up. Maybe a little Van Dyke brown. When you dip into that liquid white, remember it lightens up your color, so you may have to go back into a little of the dark. I just want to darken that foliage up just a little bit. That looks a little bit better. Don't need to put it everywhere. Just the indication that there's something growing in between these rocks. Here and there. I think we're going to put a couple of trees on both sides and call this one done. I think we're almost done. So let's go, let's see. Let's draw the trunks in first for our trees. So we're going to grab our liner brush. Let's dip into some paint thinner. If your brown is thinner, your Van Dyke brown, and you don't need paint thinner, don't use paint thinner. Mine, very thick. I need this paint to move around. So just getting some Van Dyke brown on here. Let's figure out where, I'm saying this side of the shoreline's a little closer to us. So these trees will be bigger. These are going to be big, but not quite as big as this side. So that's what I'm thinking. And let's just draw in a couple of trees and bring them down in here. Just draw on the trunk. Right down through our other trees. Get some more on here. Maybe one right back in here. I'm thinking this one might be just a little bit bigger. It comes right off the edge. Okay. going to add a few little branches here and there. Guess I should stand out of the way so you guys can see. Sometimes I think I'm just painting by myself, and I forget, you know, camera's rolling. I need to show you guys what I'm doing. So we're just gonna grab some more thinner. This is Mineral Spirits, odorless. And it dries up really quick, so it'll thin your paint, and then, you know, you'll find your paint's getting thick again. It's because this, you know, the thinner is drying really quick. And we're gonna, should have done this back tree first. Get all of our branches on this one because it's behind these others. It's behind the other trees. Get this drawn in first. Painted in. All right, just gonna put a few branches on it. Now, this one here, we're gonna say this one is in front of that one. So now we come up and let's put some branches on that one. You're probably thinking, why didn't you do this, that back one first? Well, I wanted to draw in how many trees I was having. Now we're figuring out which one's in front of the other. And we're working from the farthest back. So we just put in all those branches. Now we're going to this middle one, and we're going to go right over that back one. And now let's do the front one, this big one. And he's got a little foot that comes out right down by the shore, we're going to see. Grab some more paint thinner, thin this out. Okay, let's figure out. He comes out and goes up. And off that way. So they're, remember this tree is bigger. He goes off the canvas. So he's all the way at the edge here. All right. I think that's good for that side. Oh, I see something. Define some of these. This is a good time while you've got your liner brush, you've got some paint thinner, you got your brown. Look over these trees in the background. We can bring some of these forward if you want. Well, what do you mean by that, Rob? I'll tell you. I'll show you right now. Let's pick one of these trees out. Let's say we're looking at this one right here. Let's come right down and bring him right down into the foreground. He just got a little closer. Maybe this one right here is a little closer. I'm starting the brush on the limbs that I've already drawn, the part of the trunk that I've already drawn, and I'm just bringing it down. Maybe it comes down by the water. Oh, my dog is snoring. I think she's about 15 years old now. She's my rock and roll dog, Abby. Love my puppies. I know she's tired because she's not in here. She fell asleep out there. She's too tired to follow me around now. At least tonight. Okay. Let's see, this one looks like it doesn't go anywhere, so let's give this one somewhere to go. Sometimes the branches are crooked, like that. All right, so we brought a couple of these trees into the foreground. Any more that you want to bring down? This is where you can decide what's closest to you. So maybe this tree here has a few more branches, comes down, and it's a little bit bigger. It's right down by the water's edge. And that quick, we just changed the perspective. It looked like all the trees were all in the same line, you know, in the background. But we're bringing some of them into the foreground. Not all of them, just a couple. And they don't all have to come down right at the edge of the shoreline like I brought this one down farther. You stop wherever you want. You could stop right at the horizon line, you know. And all I'm doing now is defining if we're bringing it to the foreground, it gets a little darker. So we need to make sure those branches on these trees we're bringing forward are a little darker. We can see them. Like this one. Oh, need some paint thinner. Thin this brown out. Maybe up here at the top, just the indication of the branches. It's got one out that way. Some goes off that way. Maybe he's a little bigger than what we see. So we're going to make his trunk just a little bigger. Yep, there we go. Maybe these two back here, we'll bring these into the foreground. I hope you guys like this that I'm showing you, because we could have left those alone and not brought these into the foreground. But I think it's a little extra thing that you can add to your paintings. You know, instead of a line of trees that are all in the background, I'm showing you how to bring some of those forward. And I hope you enjoy this. It's stuff like this when I stand back that makes me smile. And remember, painting should always make you smile. So these green ones over here on the right, I think I want those to come forward, but not as close as this one right here. So we're going to grab this trunk right here and come down just right there. This one to right there. Brought them a little closer without getting too close. Maybe these trees don't like these trees. They don't want to be close to each other at all. They're neighbors and they're just, I'm just kidding. They like each other. I've got some great neighbors. I'm gonna, and they're subscribers, and I'm gonna mention them on another episode. I'm not gonna do it right now because they have kids and I don't know the names of all the kids. So, I'll do a neighbor episode. Okay, I'm just going back and making sure that I've got some branches holding up some of these trees. Stand back, make sure. Still have our liner. We're going to come over to this side and figure out where. I think we might just put one tree in over here, kind of a big tree. Getting in a little paint thinner, coming into that Van Dyke brown. I think I'm going to start with a branch. Somewhere in there. And all I did was come down one side. You're probably like, that doesn't look like a tree at all, Rob. Well, I'm not done yet. Not done. Coming right through our grass, right through everything. His little foot goes down like that. Might switch to a bigger brush, or I might make this liner brush work. Maybe he's got a foot over here. Goes this way. You know, I have midnight black on my palette too. Might switch over to midnight black. I'll stick with the brown for right now. Stick with the brown. A little more paint thinner. This tree is going to be, yeah, I'm going to make him a little bit bigger. So he's got several feet going, little feet that's holding him up. Just figuring out where this tree branches off. Oh, that's a good joke. The tree that branches off. I like that. That's pretty funny. Okay. Maybe it comes up like that, like that, like that. Oh, paint's getting thick. When you stop, when it's getting harder to, you know, it's pulling through the blue instead of putting brown on there, and you're pulling through colors, you know, you need to get some more paint thinner. In fact, I need a little more. Really thin this out. Okay. Stand back. All right. Just adding in, taking my liner brush, very light touch, you know, with the liner brush. And you want to spin your liner brush through your paint. Try to get that end kind of pointed. You want to point at the end if you can, although this liner brush is more of a flat type of liner brush. Try to create a point, and let's see. Maybe this one is in front of this branch. Okay, I'm going to finish the branches on this one. Let's go ahead and draw on this other side here too. This branch goes off the canvas over here. In fact, I'm seeing I'm seeing a branch that might come out here like this. Get some more paint thinner. Paint's starting to thicken up. Okay. Not bad, not bad. Let's go ahead and draw this one. Paint this branch over here. It goes up and off the canvas. That side. Okay. Now, if you go through a branch, if you draw something in that's in one branch that's in front of the other, and then you decide to add something to the one behind, just make sure you go through your branch that's in front of that one again and just draw through. That way it looks consistent. Keep your branches that are behind in the background, branches that are in the foreground, do those last. Sometimes, like now, you don't know what's in the background, what's in the foreground until you start making your tree and making your branches. But as you go, just make sure you correct anything that looks, kind of funky. Not funky in a good way. Kind of funky in a, like, what is that? Okay. I like this, but I think I want that out there. All right. I think we're going to put leaves on this one and not on this one. I'm going to show you a couple more things that you can do if you want to keep going after I turn my camera off and you keep you keep painting on yours. Let me show you a couple of things that you can do to just add. Obviously, we could add some leaves and that up top here on these. You know what? I'll show you. We'll go ahead and do that. Let's grab a 1-inch brush, come through some of this Van Dyke brown. It still has a little bit of paint thinner, which is going to be good. And let's come up here and just touch and push. Put some leaves out here on these branches. Just putting some dark. Okay. Remember, these branches are so far up to the corner up here. That's where our leaves are going to be up here at the top. This tree, I'm not putting any. I like that bare limbs, the bare branches. I like that on that side. But this one, I think we'll put some color. So let's grab our palette knife. I'm thinking a yellow, a little bit of yellow ochre, and yellow ochre and cadmium yellow. And then we're going to run through the dip into, not run through anything, but let's get a clean 1-inch brush. There we go. Found one. Found it. Let's dip into a little liquid white and then tap into that cadmium yellow and yellow ochre mix. Pull down one direction. Flip our brush over and and it's going to be hard because we're all the way up here at the corner of our painting, corner of the canvas, but we're just gonna add a little color here and there, just touching and pushing. Down. Just touch. Leave a little space and then touch again. So not everywhere, but a little bit. A little bit of brown and a little bit of space in between. Okay, we've got some highlights on our leaves, kind of a yellowy color. Staying in the greens and the yellows. We're not getting crazy with I have alizarin crimson on here, but I don't think we're going to end up using it. I didn't know if we were going to or not, but staying in the family of the greens and the yellows, just a winding river with some trees. I like it. I think we're going to call this one done. So, oh no, I was going to show you something else. Okay, one more thing, then we'll call it done. One more thing. Let's grab that liner brush. This is what I said, if you want to keep painting after I turn the cameras off and you want to put some more detail on your painting, I'll show you a couple of things that you can do with the tree over here. If our sun's coming down and shining across this way, that means the back of this tree, the side closest to us, would be dark. So you can dip into a little paint thinner. If you're black, I'm coming into midnight black. If your black's not thin enough, dip into a little paint thinner. We can come down this side and define this side here with some midnight black. Start up here. Come on this right-hand side. We're going to say that that's farthest away from our sun, the light. And get into a little more paint thinner. Just makes the paint stick a little bit better. Okay. Maybe there's a streak of black on this foot here. Remember, we've got a couple of feet at the bottom to our tree here. And there's going to be some dark areas, especially down here right at the base of this tree. Some shadows and stuff like that. So we're just showing you how you can add in some shadows. You know how at the bottom of a tree, you'll have a root go this way and a root go that way. They'll be like kind of right next to each other. That part in the middle of those 2 feet would be very dark. And that crack would go right up, sometimes goes up just a little ways, that darkness. Maybe there's a little squirrel that lives in there, or I don't know, some creature. Anyway, we're just putting some dark down near the base. I hope that shows up to where you can see. And the way we continue this, you would go to each of these branches, and on the right-hand side, what you would consider the shaded side of the tree, just add a little dark. Shaded side. Grab some more black. I hope you guys don't mind me showing you stuff like this. I think it's really cool. Some of the paintings that you guys have seen on my trailer, have some of these deep forest paintings. This is the kind of stuff, the kind of things that I do to my trees, you know, to just make them stand out a little bit better. You start with your brown, and then you darken it up with some black, or you mix black with brown and make it a little darker brown, and you put your shadow side, you know. And if you're thinking, well, Rob, how do I know which side is the shadow side? You pick left or right, either one. If you pick, you know, we're going on the right side for the shadow, but maybe in your painting, you're saying, well, my sun's over here. My sun's facing, you know, coming down this way. Well, then that means your shadow is going to be on the left side. You would do exactly the same thing we're doing here, but you would be putting the dark all on the left side, all on the left side of the branches, left side of the branches. Your highlight would be on the right side, if that's the case. So that's how you decide. You just pick. Once you figure out left or right, it's easy from there. You just remember, you know, the right side of all your branches going to have a little shadow. And already this has made a little bit of a difference, you know, in this painting of the tree. That needs to be a little bit bigger branch. This doesn't look right. There we go. Okay, now let's wash our liner brush. I'll show you one last thing, and then I promise we're going to sign this. We'll be done. A little bit of paint thinner. Let's come into titanium white. Let's thin this white down. And it's got a little brown in it. It's kind of a dirty white. That's okay. Just going to show you. If the right-hand sides are shadow side, then we're going to make this left-hand side our highlight side. Get a little more. Come right down this root, right on the top of it. Where's our other little foot? Somewhere right there. It's another little foot that holds this big tree up. And maybe we've got some bark, some stuff going on. So we're just putting on some highlight. If it looks too white, like it's bothering you, you stand back and you're like, oh, that's too bright. Take your paintbrush and very lightly go over it, and it will change and you know, kind of diffuse that, tone down that white, make it more subtle. You want to see the highlight and maybe the bark, but you don't want it to look out of place to your eye. And I'm talking about your eye. You know, you're the only one who has to be happy about your painting. Doesn't matter what anybody else, seriously, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. So if you're having fun and you're enjoying yourself and you're painting something that you're like, I like that. I really like that. Who else do you have to please? Right? That's the way I look at it. I mean, I want you guys to like what I'm doing, but at the end of the day, you know, you may not like something I'm doing and I may like it. As long as I'm happy with what I'm doing, you're happy with what you're doing, that's all that matters. Just enjoy it. Enjoy it. So we're putting some highlights down this left side just to show you how you can do this. It adds a little more detail to your tree. Kind of looks like some bark going on here. And that's what I'm talking about. You can sit here, for a while and just keep going over this. Just be careful not to, stand back. That's why I always say, stand back and look. You may find that you've got it perfect. Stand back and go, oh, I need to leave it alone. Kind of like right now. That's what I'm going to do. We're going to sign this and we're going to be done with it. Okay. Well, we're in that tree color. Yeah, might as well. Okay. It's this dirty whitish brown that we're just using. Let's come down here in the corner. Oh, I don't like this liner brush for signing. All right, I'm grabbing my other liner brush. I do not. That one is great for tree limbs. It's terrible for signing your name. I like my smaller liner brush. Okay, let's try this again. A little more white in there. There we go. And I went with a lighter color so my name just doesn't jump right out. I like it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Just a nice little winding river. Kind of some neutral colors here. Nothing crazy. Big tree, some distant trees. Thank you for spending your time with me. And I will see you on the next episode. Bye-bye.